Peace, family, peace. We are now live. Shout out to everybody in the chat room.
Yes.
Good to see you on here again today. We had a great night the other night when we went live with Billy and Rod Hayes. Shout out to those brothers. We're gonna have tonight you need a pen and a pad. We taking some notes tonight, y'all.
Please.
Uh, as always, this is next level information. Yeah, I'm in the building with Blue Pill, about to bring the brother on. But first, as always, family, make sure you hit the like button, tell your friends and family we are now live. Let's get to a couple of commercials and we'll be right back, family. We'll be right back.
Started out with nothing. Now I got a whole lot of something. Breaking through the roof. Willy Wonka when he pressed the button. When I do a money ritual, all of a sudden money started coming. Then I cut the Holy Ghost. I still be rhyming even when I'm mumbling. You repeat my name 3 times while you staring in the mirror. Bottle will appear like poof. I came from out of thin air. To me the gun is like a magic wand. I make a problem disappear. I would knock a nigga teeth out his mouth. What? Just to turn him to veneer. I can do magic. 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 When I open up my mouth, I can move masses. Black magic on the beat, turn it to a classic. I'ma take the money out the bank, then I'ma put it in the mattress. Tell me the niggas got.
All right. Shout out to Cambada. Video coming very soon, y'all. Probably in about a week. Editing it right now. Stay tuned for that. But without further ado, family, I want to bring my brother Blue Pillar back to the platform. Welcome back, my brother.
Yes, indeed. Peace to the family, peace and love and light. Brother Blue Port, live and direct. Thank you for having me back. Yeah, this is gonna be a
Yo, is Red channel the channel still suspended? I ain't see Red on in a minute.
Yeah, we're still going through
Damn,
YouTube litigation.
damn, bro, that's crazy. But listen, Blue man. So let me just put this on the screen. I hollered at Blue yesterday, and I'm like, yo, we gotta go over this material for the family. I've come across something that's very important, real interesting, and it ties into a lot of the things a lot of the teachers talk about. Let me just find it real quick. And the name of the book is it's a gentleman by the name of Walter Russell. And the name of the book is The Secret of Light. And you can see that symbol with the one, and it has this arrow going from the circle to the left, and also no. Well, you'll see the symbol. Wait,
Right.
but it's coming from the one and it's going into the one. So it's like going in the one is going in 2 different directions. But this book right here, and it's by Walter Russell. I mean, this dude here, I heard about him years ago, family. Nikola Tesla. We all heard of Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla said that, told them, read his material, read this book right here, Secret of Light. And then it said that Nikola Tesla said, you're 1,000 years ahead of your time. You need to holler at the Smithsonian or somebody and lock this up and open it back up when humanity is ready for it.
Right.
But yeah, this dude's stuff is real sharp, y'all. I mean, Blue Pill, man.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
a profound piece of material. You know, presented to us in a language that is very understandable and digestible. You know, on these platforms, we speak about a lot of ancient texts, you know what I'm saying? And the ancient texts, you know, they echo the wisdom of the ages. And I think that to be consistent with what even the ancient texts represent, we have to be able to find the latest iteration of light vibration and expression. So we should always be looking, you know, during periods of time for, you know, vast expressions of light, you know, light coalescing to knowledge or information. And, you know, as he explains, which is not one and the same, you know what I mean? So the fact that this information came out in the early 1900s, right? it also, lends to the fact that not only was it such a profound collection of information presented in the way in which it was, because he had a lot of illustrations. You feel
Mm.
me?
Yeah.
So it was visual, right? But during this time, it was so transcendental in regards to how people were talking and thinking,
Mm.
even where science was at. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
where science was at, right? He came up against the same issue back then that we're coming up against right now with
Mm.
science.
Mm.
And shout out to our esteemed elder, Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine, when he explains the science as a priesthood.
Mm.
Because one would have to ask themselves, how can religion and science operate simultaneously side by side if they seemingly cancel one another out? So science is its own religion, it's its own priesthood. But here in the Western world, because they don't acknowledge the actualization of spirit, right? That also reflects in them not acknowledging spirit, right, means that they've cut themselves off from certain Eastern aspects or Eastern philosophies or Eastern hemispheric thought processes, which would be right brain. So that deals with the feminine, that deals with creativity, that deals with things that are like improv, right? Whereas they say, where did you get this information? Oh, I downloaded it. I was, they was talking to me in my
Mm.
all of that stuff right there, that cannot be gauged or measured according to science because it doesn't fit into what's considered to be the scientific model,
Mm.
right? Or the scientific method. Um, of which ironically, did they say that that was also a creation of Sir Francis Bacon, the scientific model? All right, but nonetheless, things in the West have to be measured, right? And they have to fit into a prescribed model in order for science to say that it's valid. Okay. What he was saying at the time when he came is that mind animates matter. All right. So Western science has no place in it for mind. You know what I mean? They have not gauged, measured, or properly identified or defined what quote unquote consciousness is. They haven't defined intelligence, nor do they understand light, right? Which disqualifies them from having any conversation revolving around spirit or revolving around quote unquote what one conceives to be God, because you can't take the light out of the component. You can't take mind out of matter and still think that you're going to speak about something this transcendental or holy
Right.
or divine. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And so then again, but that leaves you with a very interesting query. If one would ask, I thought that we live in a society that's dominated by religion. You know what I'm saying? I thought that we live in a country that allegedly is supposed to be Christian.
Mm.
So where do science and religion, where do they resolve themselves?
Mm.
They seem to always bump up against one another. So this gentleman came out with this information at a time like that when science was just coming into the dawning of itself, its own renaissance, and they were not pretty much open to hear things that they could not qualify, things that did not fit into their priesthood. So, Tesla was telling him, I'm sure what Tesla was going up against as well was some of the same things, right? He was interjecting these concepts of this spooky science, and they was like, nah, we're not trying to hear that, right? Nor are we trying to hear it because we can't monetize it. So it don't even fit into our capital gains theory, or how they wanted to fit, what I'm saying, these concepts and these inventions into their industrial capitalistic pursuits. So they like, nah, we're not doing free energy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm.
And his information, the way that he came with it, he was saying that things were electrical and they weren't atomic. And this country, as we can see, they were moving into the atomic age. They were not moving into the electric age. We are in the electrified age now, and they are attempting to make these pivots and these shifts. Hence the fact that they say that they're having a global reset. The global reset is based on what? Current and currency. The current is the currency because the dollar is tethered to the actual, fossil fuels. It's a petrodollar, and that fossil fuel represents, you feel me, a aspect of the current. That's where, you know, this all started out of the AC/DC conversation with Thomas Edison and Tesla, right? Where they wanted to make things that was gas guzzlers and crunk and think, you know what I mean? The you know the steel and the stuff that got gas motors and things of that nature. So they wanted to monetize that. Whereas Tesla was telling them, look, we could do EV right now. You know what I'm saying? I could show you how to access all this free energy. You know what I mean? We could go straight electrical. Um, and according to what I see on my TikTok timeline, because TikTok is it's a multiverse. It takes me to the multi-dimensional universes. So on TikTok, I learned that about the Tartarians and things of that.
Really?
And I had no idea that there was an electrical world prior to this. You know what I'm saying? And you know, at this point, you know what I'm saying, I've seen too much stuff to unsee it.
Yeah, man.
So I ain't
Yeah.
got nothing but questions. You feel me? Because I don't have all the answers in regards to the evidence that has been presented about a world that existed here prior to what's being reported. It was a world that was running on free energy and electricity. And it would make sense because once again, we live in an electrical world, you know, we're electrical beings.
No, definitely, definitely. Let me start out something that there's a couple of things that stood out to me in the book. And once again, family, if you're tuning in late, I want everybody. This book is available for free. It's all
Yes.
over the internet. The audio book is for free on YouTube, or you could download the PDF. It's called The Secret of Light by Walter Russell. This is like if you like into the advanced metaphysical stuff. Other than that, it might just be boring for you, but this is like some advanced concepts dealing with the secret of light and the universal oneness of God, and him recreating this idea of what cause and effect really is, not recreating, but letting us know, that we're too much focused on the effect plane and not enough on the cause plane. So yeah, if you're interested in something like that, definitely download it.
Going in and out. Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me,
All
Blue?
right. Yeah, hey now. Mhm.
So Blue, so all right, one of the things he said in the book, I'm gonna read a paragraph real quick, Blue. And
Yes.
I'm gonna do that several times, and just we're gonna go over this. We're gonna be here for about an hour and a half, something like that tonight, fam. We're gonna have a good time and do some learning tonight.
For
This is
sure.
like a book club session tonight, y'all.
Yes,
Well, listen,
this could be
yeah,
the precursor to the book club that the family has been asking for
indeed.
uh repeatedly. I would say this because I get asked often, what is my recommended book list, or if I could recommend one book that will, what I mean, sum it up to give a person the rudimentary introduction that's needed and necessary to understand ascension protocol, right?
Hmm.
Or what this concept of Christ consciousness, is. You feel me? What am I doing here? Why? X, Y,
Right.
and Z. What is my place in the universe? Even though this literature may be considered, it's not necessarily introductory, but who am I to gauge? I would say for some people, he will probably be speaking their language directly, but hands down, family, this is this the one. Yeah,
Some
please
advance.
continue.
So Blue, sorry. So let me read this. This is from chapter 5, and
Yes.
the name of the chapter is Creative Expression. So he
Mhm.
says, to conceive, we must stop thinking and know. All sensing must cease. There's no power in thinking. Thinking but expresses the power which lies in knowing. We must project ourselves into the still light of knowing to commence with God. We must become one with God to perceive idea in order to produce form of that idea. A concept must proceed as manifestation in form. Throughout, so just reading that throughout the book, he talks about how tricky the five senses are, and how we can't be fooled by the trickiness of the five senses. Now, when I read this paragraph, and maybe I just did a show with Seven Beaumont,
Shout
and
out to Trevor.
when you
Yes.
think of we being in this metaphysical new age movement, whatever you want to call it, when you think of thinking, you think of thought, you think of thought, you think of thought. Now, Seven Beaumont was saying Thoth was one of the trickster gods. So now, if thinking is a trickster energy because it could easily fool us into thinking the material world is real, into into not knowing is there any connection? Could you see any connection with what Seven said about Tahuti or Thoth being a trickster god and Thoth being a trickster trait of humanity? When you think, you got to be, you
Well,
thinking some shit and it's
yes, the
totally not it.
what Walter Russell was expressing, right, is that reality within itself is a combination of two refractions of light
Uh-huh.
that are combining with one another to convince us that we are participating in quote unquote reality. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And that light is coming from the all source, which is knowing, and the other light is the accessibility to imagine, right? To think.
mm-hmm,
And thinking within itself is God having fun with itself, right? Because it's engaging in a process that ultimately is not rewarding to itself because it already knows. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So the knowing is something that's eternal, right? Think about it, right? Like he said, it's considered to be the stillness.
Right.
And I had a transcendental experience in 2001. I speak about it often. Um, and I was jettisoned to the cosmos, right? And all of this was happening, granted, in my head. But was I imagining it? Or this is like in my mind, this is what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a light that was bright as like 1,000 suns. And then next thing you know, I am in the center of the universe, like on a swivel chair. You know, it wasn't a chair, but I could move from this way to that way, and I could see around me. And it was the stillest thing ever. Like there was no
Mm-hmm.
motion.
No
It was
motion.
just pure stillness and pure darkness. But then I heard the only thing that's real is love, right? And that's what I came back with. And that changed that, that's kind of like an experience to set me on my path. So I say all that to say that when I experienced that level of stillness, and then I had an experience on this last trip to Mount Shasta. Um, Shout out, it was a brother. Man, where the brother from? The brother from Chicago. Me and him, we went the furthest up on the mountain. So the rest of the group had already left and they went down the mountain. So we went up to the highest point. We coming down the mountain now, and everything just stopped, right? And he was like, "Yo, you hear that?" He was like, "Stillness."
Mm.
He's like, "I don't hear nothing." Stillness was the loudest sound ever.
Woo.
It was no chirping. The wind wasn't breathing. Nothing was moving. And when me and him came to the acknowledgement, because it sounded like he was on a sound stage and everything just stopped. Because it was the stillest stillness ever. But it was the most consecrated state of peace. And then the second that me and him realized that we had got there, the birds started going off, right? It's almost like we almost hacked the program in the Matrix, and they was like, "Oh, let's bring them back in, crank it up." So that stillness, that level of peace, I know what he's speaking about, where you were able to access the one mind, because the realizations that I was having in that state of stillness, again, that was transcending any other concept that I had when I was thinking, when I was attempting to figure things out. You know what I mean? When you are in the stillness and the no, you're in the zone,
Right.
right? That's the space that he said when he used the analogy of the person who knits. And I would use the analogy of the person who, let's say at this point, rhymes and freestyles. When you initially start, you know what I mean? You're writing your rhymes down, you're a little bit nervous, you got to memorize things. But once you write, go down the Cambada level, you just got to put the beat on
Right.
and you see everything this coming. And is he necessarily thinking these things, or he's transmitted and these things are fluidly coming through him? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that level of stillness, it has to be achieved for people to really understand and appreciate the accessibility zone that you get into when you get to 0 point and you get to the zone and you don't have to think no more. You know what I mean? Everything is just automatic, you know. So the person, again, the person who starts learning how to knit is giving themselves muscle memory to a degree where initially when they started, they had major concentration because they was thinking about the patterns. This has to go into this, you know what I mean? I have to patternize this and duplicate that. And then after a while, you doing it and you ain't even looking. You
Right.
talking, you cooking, you know what I'm saying? You doing the most. And you on autopilot. Where does that come from? You're not thinking about it. You are knowing. You're in the know, you're in the flow, you're in the zone, you're at home. Yes.
Yeah, man. You know, when I was learning piano, that's one of the things a lot of people told me is to be a successful piano player and to be great, you can't think while you're playing the piano. And I always thought, like, how the hell am I not gonna think while I'm playing an instrument like this when I gotta look at these notes and hit scales and chords? It just seemed non-productive until I actually did it. And it's scary because your ego is like, well, how am I gonna do it again? Because your ego wants to know the formula, Blue. So since your ego can't figure out the formula, the
Right.
ego gets scared.
So think
You know
about
what I'm
that,
saying?
right? Ego wants to duplicate it. It wants
Yeah.
to,
Mm-hmm.
and then the formula goes into the form. So this is what he also speaks about, right? The form is illusionary within itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's dealing with this material plane, and we're down here tricking ourselves that we're solid and we're not. You know what I'm saying? This is all a refraction. This is a simulation. You know what I mean? And we're a refraction of light. We say that we're light beings.
Right.
Well, what does that mean? Do I see light coming off of you? I mean, I see you shining. You feel me? And you got some gold on and it's sparkling. You know what I mean? And I could take an aura pick and you know, we could see subtle energy bodies, but we know we're literally light beings. We're made of cosmic stardust. You feel me? And you know, we really emanate a light signature. We're bioluminescent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And inside of us, our mother matrix, our all spark, like off of Transformers, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that all spark, that light is what animates our vessel. And that's what he said. That part of you that is eternal, the only part of you that's alive
Mm.
is the spirit. The body never was and the body never shall be. You're not alive, so you're never gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very liberating thought.
Man, man, is it? Is it?
It
Is it?
freaks me up,
Is it? Is it? Wow.
man. Hmm.
You know, I had this I had this conversation. You know, I'd like to mix the teachings together and compare notes. We're talking about frequency and vibration and stillness. And I had this conversation with Billy and Rod, and I was asking them, are frequencies what we call frequencies? Are they jealous? I was like, yo, they almost remind me of a woman. They want all your attention. You know, your woman wants all your attention, Blue. And Blue looking at it. So if you dedicate your life to basketball, Blue, the frequency of being a great basketball player, if you decide to divert that attention to being a movie star, your skills will disappear. And you'll
Right.
be like, yo, what? The power's gone.
They'll
That
abandon
frequency,
you.
yeah,
Right.
that it's like that frequency wants all of you. So I'm asking
That's
myself, yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Just,
I'm like, I'm
just
like,
all right, go
you
ahead.
got no, go ahead. Did I continue? Go ahead, Blue.
Because when I do my Sunday service, one of the most repetitive themes in the Bible is that it's a jealous God. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I brought that up too. I'm glad you said that.
Because he's always punishing his children for abandoning him and putting their love somewhere else. So he'll punish them. He'll take things from them to get their attention so they can pay attention to him. So think about this. You're a basketball god.
Yeah,
You're tapping into that particular knowing, that zone, right?
yeah,
That the aspect of creator that exists in that particular spectrum as that expression. And then if you abandon it, you know what I'm saying? Then you start getting tripped up because it's like, did you do everything that you came to do? You know what I mean? With this particular energy, and me and you are tethered. We're synonymous. Jordan will forever be known for basketball. He might want to break out and do baseball. Did that end up good for him? Not
no,
necessarily.
no.
Even with the golf, it will never overshadow his abilities. You know what I'm saying? To represent the basketball gods.
Mhm.
And
It
then
was.
And then now he got to duke it out because they feel like, oh, you might have turned. Hey, we got LeBron as your 2.0, and we're gonna put you in.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, that's interesting.
What's funny about the language, Blue? Us, everyday people having using slang and language, and us reading this advanced science and understanding it. We're talking about frequencies wanting that electricity from you. And a woman wants that, that energy from you. And women that want a lot of energy from you, sometimes we be like, damn, baby, you a freak. The first half of frequency is freak. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like,
So
where we get freak from?
no, I think yeah. So a freak would be a person who accesses an excessive amount of
Amount of,
energy
yeah.
from different sources.
So it's
So she's
just
a freak because
it's
she's tapping into more frequency than normal. Because what you do frequently,
it's so it's shit, yo, this shit get real deep. It's like you just a rabbit, your mind is like, wow.
it opens up. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
thing.
this is
Yeah.
this is some interesting stuff right here. But what you think about what he was talking about? Because I know you and Red, y'all big on the crystals. They were also talking about crystal consciousness and the crystalline structure and how important crystals is and communicating with crystals. Blue pill. What's your thoughts and how do you in particular communicate with crystals? Like, do you talk to them? Do you sing to
Um.
them? Like how do you communicate with them?
Yes. Yes. And in particular, I came back from Mount Shasta on my 2021 retreat, and before I left, I took uh my lady to there's a crystal store off the strip. That's like a high end boutique crystal store, and this dude is like he's from the school of Hogwarts. Like he got stuff in there that again you would have to really have an imagination. He's like, I got dragon hearts, I got unicorn larynxes. He order like that, and he'll pull stuff out, and you got to tell him that you know what I'm saying? He like,
Yeah.
I got stuff from in the earth that came out of shot. He got all kind of stuff. So he gave me an celestial, and he used the celestial to read my energy signatures, and he was
Mm,
like, your heart chakra is where the sacral is at, and you know what I mean. There had to be a realignment process. So
mm,
he showed me how to program the celestial and speak to it. You know what I mean? And he was
mm.
like, "Oh, I see you got a Pegasus with you," and he was just showing me, how to do. And when I was doing these things outside of it, possibly because somebody could say, "Oh, that's just a placebo effect or something that's in your head." But when I was doing it, I was aligning myself properly, and I was feeling physical effects. What about you, baby? She, you know what I mean? She had effects with hers as well. And I mean, that's just one incident. I've had numerous incidents when I've been, you know, yeah, he showed us how to find the areas utilizing the crystals. So her area was different than my area, and we were both able to assist ourselves properly, and get assistance from it. And there's been crystals that have called me that I've used on many occasions, for healing, for reattunement and alignment. So what he explains about crystals, what I've been attempting to explain myself is that crystals have a consciousness. It's called crystal consciousness because they are crystalline structures. They are lattice structure. And a lattice structure speaks to patterns, right? So they're patternized lattice structure that are organized in a particular structured fashion, but so are you as a carbon being. You know what I'm saying? A carbon is a structured molecule as well. It's a 666 structured molecule that makes you refract into a cubic expression. And me and you are here expressing ourselves through a simulation via pixels. This is just a micro version of the macro of what's really going on with us.
Right, right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So we exist as refractions, crystalline refractions of light that's coming through the lattice, through the crystal lattice, in a step down version where now we are in 3 dimensions and we think we hot shit. You know what I'm saying? But we really come from 8 dimensional realities. You know, we are so immense. We are so much pure light. But this aspect of my light body cannot contain that aspect of my light body necessarily. I am a fit representation and iteration of that light vibration in this particular plane of demonstration,
Mm,
right? But I'm still
mm,
connected to my higher mind or my higher body, which is a light body. And that light body is connected to the source.
mm, mm,
From whence I came, so shall I return.
mm,
And I'll keep coming back. You
mm,
feel me? In different forms. And that shit
mm.
is so exciting. And it takes the sting out of the fear of death, right?
Yeah.
Because you're never gonna die, y'all. You were never alive to die. You've always been,
Mm.
and you shall always be.
You know, when he talk about sensations, Blue, like I said, he talks a lot about how we
Yeah.
have to not pay attention to our sensations sometime, and maybe think about all the whole self-improvement movement. And one of the on the internet, and and even you talk about this. One of the he says, don't base your decisions on your sensations, and he broke down the whole science of it. And one of the things y'all always talk about is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Your senses will tell you you're uncomfortable, so your decision will say, I'm not going to do this because I'm uncomfortable. But the uncomfortability, that's more in alignment with who you are than the comfortableness. So it's like a weird thing we got to
Well,
go through where,
yeah.
we have to ignore our own vehicle, our own body. You know what I'm saying?
Again, this is the necessary training for for the mind to remind the body
Mm-hmm.
who's in charge,
Who's the boss? Right, right, right,
right?
right.
For the mind to remind the body, right? So what is reminding? That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what reminding is. It is tapping back into the body and having it remind itself that the mind,
Mm-hmm.
right, is the overlord aspect of it. This non-corporal. The mind don't got nothing to do with the body. The
Mm-hmm.
body is being animated by, first the body's being animated by spirit, because that's exactly what the life is. The minute spirit leave my body, the body's no
Right,
more, right?
right.
So the spirit is actually all of this. This is all of this animation. It's electrical currents that are being expressed through electrical circuitry, right? That are encased within a carbon vessel that got you thinking that what you looking at is actually what you looking at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So the comfortability factor, yeah, is the body is always wants to be comfortable because the body is feminine. The body's like, I'm living a soft life. The body ain't come here to be scarred up, bruised, and put into compromising positions, because the body, which is the navigator, like, all right, so the body's the whip, right? The body's the Bentley. The spirit is driving it, right? The spirit don't want to crash the whip, but the whip damn sure don't want to get crashed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the airbag may save the spirit, but the body of the vehicle is gonna get damaged. The body of the vehicle is gonna need work. The body of the vehicle know it's going to look. I'm only here to save the spirit.
Mm.
You feel me? And prolong this experience that I have where I'm chauffeuring this spirit around, because now I'm engaged, right? You the plus one, nigga, right? You the
Right,
plus one riding along with it. Look, wherever he go, I'm with him. I'm plus one. I'm carrying the camera.
right, right,
That's the
right.
body, because the body is recording, right? In memory, cellular memory is where the recording of the experience is actually taking place. You feel me? For it to upload it back to the larger pool of memory, which is source.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
as you know, let's go into the etymology of the word, as the brother Jane 108 broke it down. Mem ori, right? So meme or mem is the Hebrew word for water,
Mm-hmm.
right? And ori would be light. It also means head. In the African traditional system, that your ori is your head. This is where all of your ashes at. This is what connects you to your cosmos. This is everything. You know what I'm saying? So mem ori, water and light. That's who you are.
Mm.
You are a composite of water and light. 90% of water, mind you, right? And 100% of light. Because water is light too. So what aspect of you ain't light? They said we have how many atoms in our body? 10 to the 27th zero.
Shit.
Is how many atoms that you have in your body. Last time I checked, those atoms were like atomic nuclear reactors. They got a whole lot of light in them. Right? So what's this aspect of we're small and insignificant, or is there something about you that you believe is invaluable because you can't figure shit out? You thinking too hard. Just know that you are, and let go and let God. You feel me? Let the frequency and the currency of light flow through you because you are light. And man, bro.
Well, let me. I know you know you're in the healing. Your family's in the healing. You grew up around a lot of healers.
Yes,
and I think didn't Sabi say don't call it healing, don't call him a healer or something like that.
Yeah, to a degree.
Well, let me read this because this is interesting. You know, like I said, this is like a book club tonight. We going through this book and just going over a couple of things that, and the whole book. It's book is over 100 pages, y'all. So in your own time, y'all do what you got to do. But check this out, Blue. He says in The Secret of Light, he says, nor can information concerning the material body alone, its chemistry and its function, heal the body. Bodies manifest life, but life is cosmic. Life is not in the body. You hear that? Life, niggas, Paul Mullin, he said life is not in the body. Life is spirit, and spirit is still. Life is not chemistry or germ of matter. To heal the body so that it can manifest life of the spirit self of the body, one must give the unbalanced body the balance of the spirit. Knowledge of the light could alone do this. All the information in the world will not heal a body unassisted by the light in him who heals and in him who is being healed.
Yes. So
profound shit there, Blue.
Here's the thing. Shout out to Kwame Sunhorse. He is the elder that I heard put these words together. He said that we're not healers, we're helpers.
Helpers, yes.
Shout out to Queen of Fool. I saw her this past weekend at the Veggie Taste here in Atlanta. She did an amazing presentation. And, you know, she was speaking about the importance that everyone is a healer. You know, your body is the only thing capable of doing the healing if there's dis-ease in your body, right? And also the healing does not come from, you know, a body space before it comes, you know, from top down. So it comes from the spirit into body. So you have to address it on a spiritual realm, right, to get a understanding, and then you can put particular things in your body to aid and assist you. But as well, it's something that you might have to sit with to understand what are the signs pointing to, you know, what's the deeper issue. Because again, we're running after effects and we don't go to causation. Right. So that's what he's speaking about. You know what I mean? Yes, say we can give you a herb and it's going to deal with a symptom, but what's the causation? You know what I mean?
Right.
And only that person can speak to it. I was driving earlier while I was listening to this, and something came across me where I was saying to myself something to the effect of, I just lost the thought because it was dealing with this whole modality of healing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean that's at the end of the day, you know, people have to learn how to heal themselves, and I've healed myself with light as well. So I know that this is a process that he's speaking on, right? Okay, you know, just this internal aspect of really sitting in stillness, get into that stillness, you know what I mean? And meditation, visualizing where the element is at and sending light there. You know what I mean? Visualization, imagination is such a strong component of this level of engagement because is it real to begin with? You know what I mean? So, you know, if I'm incorporating the mind into visualizing me doing the healing on an ethereal plane, right? how else am I going to get the healing going if I'm not addressing it through the mind by way of the spirit to have an effect on the body?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start aiding and assisting the body in the things that it needs to repair.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for you to get to the root, you got to get down to the root of it, which is through spirit.
Right. You know what I look at it as, Blue. Let me get your opinion on this. And I like to use these modern and what was pop
Of
culture sometimes
course.
to reference it. There's people out here that activate the spirit in us, that inspires us. So there's people out here that may have herbs that when they give you the herbs, they know how to activate. Not only do they give you the herb, but they activate the spirit in you while they're giving you the herb. And those are the people whose products are most
Right.
effective.
So I was
So
saying, yeah.
a person like, let's say, let's say, Blue, somebody like, say like Dion Sanders
Mm-hmm.
was a herbalist.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's activating
Mm-hmm.
a football team like nobody has ever seen before. Now, if a
Yes.
brother like that had herbs,
Yes.
that brother will be able to activate the healing in people like nothing, like even like a DJ Khaled. Like
Yes.
these are people that we see activate a spirit in people, and I
Yes.
think that that's a missing ingredient when we look
Yes.
at it. We're just looking for, well, how good is this product? We're looking at the product, but what about the person connected to the product? And I think Sadie was blessed with that. He had
Right.
that Dion
So
Sanders, that
that's
energy, that star
that's what I
energy.
was. You reminded me, of course, what I was thinking about. Right.
Mm.
Right. So that was what I was creating a bar in my head earlier
Yeah.
that was saying, what the magic power of the healer is to break spells in so many
Mm.
words,
Mm.
because what you're combating is the spell that has been put on people by the perceived authority, right? So a person in a white coat, 70% of American US citizens consider somebody in a white coat as an authoritative figure,
Mm.
right? So they automatically are thinking, and as well, there's a correlation between a doctor, they play in God. So, they giveth and they take it away according to what people perceive as their role. They think that these people have the power of life and death. They do have the power of life and death in the tongue, and we all have the power of life and death in the tongue. So it's amplified when they're put in a position of authority and they're telling you something, and you think that it comes with all of this accreditation
Mm.
and specialists behind it, like, oh, they have to know what they're talking about
Yeah.
because they went to school for 12 whole years, and 8 years after that, they have all this accreditation. They make X amount of money, right? And they are in this particular lofty establishment doing this stuff. So the spell is thick. So somebody tells you that you got 6 months,
Yeah. Then yeah,
that
that example. Yeah.
starts falling down.
Yeah.
Whether you get a second opinion or not, that thing
That's
lingers. That
yeah.
word, they spoke death on you. So an effective healer has to come around and dispel the spell, reinvigorate the cells, you know what I'm saying, and give you the impetus to fight back for yourself.
Mm.
That's an effective healer. Once again, a healer effectively is more of a motivational speaker and
Woo.
instructionalist than
Woo.
they are a administer
Woo.
of said formula, because the herbs inside of the body is the lab. The body is, what I'm
Pharmacy.
saying?
Body is the yeah.
The
Yeah.
body is the workshop. The body know what to do once you give it, but you got to give it the will, right? The courage. And he was speaking about how important willpower is, how important
Yeah.
that solar plexus, or that sun inside of you,
Uh-huh.
is when it comes time to you going defiant against somebody else's words that they spoke death on you. You got to have the will to live that has to 2x that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because you have to leave that, push that out. Then you got to have the energy to prove them wrong for
Mm.
yourself.
Mm. Mm.
Also, and then you want to flex. And then is that even? And then people have found, well, it's not an equitable position to flex now just because you defy those orders. Because now they got an attitude because you alive.
Mm. Mm. Yo, Blue. So with that being said, I gotta ask you this: the $1 million question, Blue. $1 million question,
Yeah.
greatest question I ever asked in the history of the world, y'all. With that being said, were them prayer cloths ever real? Remember BET? And they used to be like, "This is a prayer cloth. This is gonna heal you." And the people jumped up and they was like, So if what you just said, what the people activated, do you think a prayer cloth that was big in the 80s and
Absolutely.
90s? That was
Absolutely.
big, the prayer cloths, y'all. Were they
Yeah,
for real, Blue?
I have seen
I think my grandma had one of them one time, bro.
yes, because now we're talking about stimulus, right?
Yeah,
And what he was speaking about, the sensations, you feel me?
yeah.
So now they're being stimulated, right, by someone who knows how to work with his electricity, right? Because it's high energy, it's electric, the vibrations are high. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And everybody is going along with it. It's theater. And this whole thing is theater.
Mm.
So, people be like, oh, yeah, entertainment. Nigga, this is all entertainment. It's all
Everything.
theater,
Mm.
right? We're all playing a game. And the game that we're down here playing, as explained, is, you coming into the gnosis of this information that you're being given right now. You got you get to skip the line.
Mm.
You feel me? We're giving you the cheat sheet. This is what you're gonna have to continuously come back here and continuously learn. How to unify with your higher mind. So yeah, there's a placebo effect, but there also can be an electrical transmission taking place.
Mm.
Why are those people not putting that current in that particular thing, and that particular thing that is now charged with that current and that intent? Why is it not now transferring to the person who also believes, right? And they're getting it for that specific reason. What they're looking for is there. So why can't they retrieve it? How about that?
Mm-hmm. You was just talking about, and one thing, let me add on to what you was talking about, Blue, because you was talking about the healer is essentially a motivational speaker more so than a healer or whatever. Check out what he says about inspiration. Because motivational people inspire you to get up off your ass and do what you got to do. So he says inspiration, Blue, is the language of life which man uses to talk with God. Inspiration is that deep awareness of the consciousness of being which differentiate the genius or mystic from the being of the average intelligence. Inspiration of man is accompanied by an intense mental ecstasy, which is characteristic of all who became intensely conscious of their closeness to God. Inspired geniuses forget their bodies while deeply conscious of their existence as holy mind. Their bodies, thus forgotten, act almost automatically in obedience to instinct and cell memory reflexes. That's some shit right there. You let me say that again.
Look,
Their bodies, Blue, thus forgotten. When you forget about your body, they act automatically. Like, oh, I got to do this. Your body be like, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. In obedience to instinct and cell memory reflexes. This is all based off inspiration, Blue. It's a powerful spirit right there, man.
but right when somebody inspires you, they do what? They charge you up,
Oh, yeah.
right? So when we see Dion in there, he's charging up electrical bodies, right?
Yep.
He is the charge that is charging up these electrical bodies. You feel me? So these electrical bodies are now receiving those ions from Dion, right?
Last three letters ION.
Yeah. They're
Coincidentally.
coincidentally, right? Dion,
D-ion.
right?
This
They get
language shit is funny, man.
yeah,
We talked about freak and frequency. Now
yeah,
it's D-ion. D-ion.
right. D
Oh,
ion, they're getting charged up
I
from
got my
D
prayer cloth.
ion to get out there and go in like buffaloes, right?
Yeah.
Run over shit. So yeah, it's and that's what they paying him for. You feel me? Because he can charge up. As what does a good coach do? A good coach inspires you. The
Yeah.
plays are the plays, right? And I think the plays are more so secondary than it comes to. They say team morale is low, so you gotta re-inspire them. You have to recharge them. You can have all the plays in the world. If your team don't got the morale, they're not gonna go out there and put their full effort forward.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
more important? Is it the person is able to extend the charge?
Uh-huh.
You feel me?
Mhm.
Or the one that has some great plays? Like I think it's a combination of both, and we see the effectiveness of that with a Dion.
Yo, my brother Wu Amun said, who's charging Dion? Blue. A person like that. They want to know, well, how does he
Um,
get charged?
Dion, every time that I look at his interviews, and I have been looking at them very frequently, he gives all glory to the creator. So
The
with
oneness, the
yeah, the
oneness.
oneness
He oh shit.
with
I didn't
he
think about that.
personifies in fullness what we're here speaking about. You know, he simplified this conversation that we're having on a collegiate level into something that you can understand on a
Listen,
entertainment level. You can
yes,
go to YouTube, go to his 60 minutes interview after this, and you'll get a different iteration of what we're saying. He's saying the same thing. He's like, yo,
exact
I'm in
same
my
thing.
zone. You know what I'm saying? All glory to the creator. I can't be stopped. I'm unfuckable with. You know what I mean? I already know what my outcomes are. I'm so intense. I can feel. Yeah, I shout. You know, I will with my theme music.
Where my theme music?
Yeah, give me my vibration so I can
Oh,
vibrate at my highest
oh
frequency
man.
and high tides lift all boats. So everyone around him is within his morphogenetic grid field, and they're all benefiting from this electrical surge, this current that he's having. And they're
Yes.
going out and they're surging and they're running through things,
Mhm.
you
Oh,
know,
yo,
and they
Blue,
have
I'm glad you
frequency.
said that. Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that, Blue, because this ties in perfectly to what we're talking about. I'm glad
Yeah.
you said it about Dion, man. But Blue, it's like, you know what it is about conscious people? And this work by Walter Russell, because Walter Russell was saying, yo, I got this, by the way, side note, I got this tablet. It's called, damn, you can't see it. It's called Remarkable 2. And
Okay.
I got it so I could get away from the blue light of the computer. So I take my notes on here. I got my PDFs because I'm trying to
Oh, don't got
find
no blue
ways.
light.
Yeah, no, no blue light, no blue
Oh,
light.
that's
It's
dope.
just, yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to find ways to like,
Listen. Yeah.
lessen the blue light. But
Yes.
forgot what I was going, what I was saying, Blue. What was I saying? I was saying something about
You
my
was talking
brother.
about Dion.
Yes.
You were saying you was
Yeah, the thing about conscious people
conscious.
is
Yeah.
that
Them niggas.
we stop giving all, like, religious people give all praise to the creator. Their problem is they think they're separate from the creator, so it kind of hurts them sometimes. We know we're connected to the prayer, but we don't give all praise to the correct creator. We'll give praise to circumstances or external events. Now imagine being connected, knowing you're connected to the creator and giving all praise to the creator at the same time. And this is everything what this book is about, the universal one.
Yeah.
It's about knowing you're connected to the creator, Blue, and giving all praise for everything because it's responsible for
Yes.
everything, Blue.
Yes. And my lady will say it because you know, like I said, she from Brooklyn. She won't let me lie. But when I came back from Shasta, I was just in my gratitude bag
Uh-huh.
because of the beauty of nature and a lot of stuff that I was experiencing. We were experiencing. You know, I was just giving the glory up. You know, because just the gratitude of being able to participate in this experience called life. You know what I mean? And seeing what's going on around the world, the calamity, you know, people waking up and they underwater, people waking up and things is on fire, you know, just waking up to the news about people losing their lives in earthquakes. So, you know, not that we're concerned it, whatever it may sound like, but it's just like, yo, more gratitude, more gratitude, you know, more thanks and praise, you know, sing the name of the creator, you know, like lose yourself in public if necessary. You feel me? But just show that appreciation. So yeah, full acknowledgement that everything is a co-creation with creator. So to creator should go all co-credit. You know what I'm saying? And if we're doing that, then we're stealing from ourselves.
Mhm.
We're stealing out of our own banks. You know what I'm saying? We you robbing Peter to pay Paul at the end of the day. So, because you're pouring back into your well when you are acknowledging, you know what I'm saying, the ethereal hands of your higher self, um, of which you know co-create with you. He said, you know, it was some powerful stuff that he was expressing about ideas, and I think that that was powerful as well. Ideas are cosmic, and he said ideas are cosmic and cannot become matter and motion.
Mhm.
um that was a deep concept, you know, that was a little bit different than how I've heard it expressed, you know, but it really again helped explain the whole concept that a person can be quote unquote for lack of a better term, killed, but an idea can't. And I was watching a documentary the other day, elder that helped create the Gangster Disciples. He was speaking about, when the 60s and the 70s came and they knocked them off their course because they wanted to be revolutionaries, and they were listening to Fred Hampton, Malcolm, and Martin. So he was just like the idea, Fred Hampton famously said you could kill a revolutionary, but not the revolution.
Right.
And they were just speaking about, how important these ideas are. And if I just want more of that from our community, I want more of that from even our thought leaders, challenge yourself to come up with bold ideas that
Right.
supersede all expectations, and they're going to survive, and they're going to live beyond you. He said something else that was profound, that we know, but again, when certain things is put certain ways, you revisit them and look at them again, and they're like, damn, that makes sense. The art is going to outlive the artist. You know what I'm saying? So for our creatives out there, again, and art is the evidence of your co-creation with creator. You know what I'm saying? With you know what I mean? I think that's why even saying this, get up there and they be like, I want to thank God. You know what I'm saying? Because the creation, the arts and the sciences, where we have an opportunity to combine with creator and co-create, that's just some of the most beautiful things. You know what I mean? And your art is going to be here. It's going to live forever. So creatives, feel empowered by that ability that you can create. You know what I'm saying? That you can create freely. And that there's so many tools that are available to amplify your creations right now. Take full advantage. Do not miss this window of opportunity. You know what I mean? Do not get caught up. You thinking about it too hard. Just start creating. Utilize these tools. Engage with AI. Figure it out. But there's so many ways that you can amplify your expression, and quantity does not always equal quality. So it's not necessarily a rush to just going on a creation streak. But I know you got that thing that you've been dying to do that thing. You know what I'm saying? I know you got a
Blue.
book in you that needs to be written.
Blue, it takes a lot of audacity to read this material and really believe it in your heart. Read it and then say in your heart and mind that, yo, damn, I could do this, I could do that. I'm God on earth. I'm the spirit of God, animated. I'm animated by God. I mean, it sounds good when we're reading it, and a lot of us know it, but a lot of us don't encompass it fully in our body. My question to you, Blue, is do you have to be born with that level of confidence, or is that something that could be taught or developed through time, throughout a lifetime? That's
Again,
extreme level of confidence. Kobe Bryant level, Jay-Z level, Dame Dash level, Michael Jordan level.
yes, because and again, it's worth pointing out that this is not our first hoorah. So nobody's just being born, right? Because once again, this is their energy. This is their latest iteration of their light vibration from the beginning of time. The energy has never died. It has
Right.
manifested itself over and over and over again as experience and expression.
Mhm.
So everybody's experience and expression is not necessarily equal where they get to the pinnacle point. What you're speaking about is the pinnacle point. Once you crack that egg and crack that shell, that's your hoorah moment. Like this is your victory lap. You know what I'm saying? And he used the amazing analogy of the mountain, right?
Mhm.
In the analogy, he said the base of the mountain is the material world. That's called the jungle,
Right.
right? That's all physical. You know what I'm saying? That's when we believe what we believe, we convinced by what we convinced by. We're in the matrix, right? We're in the jungle, we're in the thick of things. We can't see the forest for the trees. We don't got no idea what's going on, and we are slaves to stimulus. You
Mhm.
feel me? So
Mhm.
everything's about the body.
Mhm.
Think about all the stuff going on in society that's about the body. Ain't nobody talking about the mind.
Mhm.
Ain't nobody talking about I got split mind. Yes, I'm in the wrong body with the wrong mind. Like nobody's saying that. Everybody's specifically talking about physicality, sensations in the body, stimulus in the body, right? Engaging in sexual urges I have to feed this demon
Right.
because it is urging me that it needs to be fed. I have to give it food. I got to give it that. Everything's about the body, right?
Body, yeah,
Man
yeah.
has fallen so far into the illusion of matter that he is encased in it. He is enslaved in it, and
Mm,
he's feeding it. You know what I'm saying? He's
mm.
creating gremlin out of gizmo. So
Whew, whew.
with all of that being said, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's not enough attention and focus in this society, you know, specifically that speaks about the mind, that goes into the mind, that specifies the discipline factor of what it takes to convince yourself, you know what I mean, that you are relinquishing being a slave to your body. That takes an extreme amount of discipline, almost like monk-like levels. So when you're in the jungle, right, in the thick of things at the base of the mountain, you can't necessarily see it. But the thing about everybody is that we all must climb. So people ask us, you know, what was the mountain about? The mountain was a symbolic representation of life, of the hero's journey, of something that we all have to go through, whether you in consciousness or not. Because the thing about this that he explains, everything is consciousness. So if you
Mhm.
belong to the conscious community, you belong to the immortal community,
Mm.
right? You are immortalizing yourself, or this is your introduction to your immortality. You are now coming within the confines and the halls, out of mundaneness into the halls where now you get introduced to yourself. And the biggest secret is that you are immortal, right? And that immortality factor within you is encased within you. The kingdom is within. So that spark of light that resides within is the part of you that's eternal, is called spirit. You know what I'm saying? He says that we all have to ascend the mountain to get to this level of understanding, but we all don't go up the mountain all at the same time. Everyone's not going to get it necessarily in this lifetime. They're going to have to come back and figure this thing out. Now, he said, you can't encompass all of the light, which the light is a euphemism for intelligence, information, or consciousness. You're not going to encompass that all at once on your journey. Not just in one sitting, he's saying it's gradual, it's along the lines. He said when you get to the tip of the mountain, though, just like happened on September 9th, right? He said, now at the top of the mountain, when you ascend and you get to the higher form of information and consciousness, when you get to that top of the mountain, then you know what I'm saying? You can have exposure to more light than normal or more light than usual. So our instructions when we got to the top of the mountain on 9-9, because the fog was out like it was last time, we said that what this is more so about people going internally first. Deal with the light inside of you. Don't get caught up in whether the sun comes out. We're not here to make observations of whether the sun is an outer expression of an acknowledgement of a inner principle that you have paid attention to and figured out. So when people got to go and do the inner work and the meditations, the breathing, the acknowledgement of their ancestors, and they got to speak, right? Then the light came out. You know what I mean? The sun came out and it was illuminated. So that symbolic action that we participated in as a group was the literal symbolism of what the journey looks like through life, through all of its iterations till you get to your point of what he considers to be crystal consciousness or Christ consciousness or enlightenment, right? When you get to the glory in the top of that mountain. So that, that goes into Genesis 9:9, right? That goes into Genesis 9:9, which speaks about when Moses went to the top of the mountain and got the enlightenment and got his commandments or his tablets. You feel me? Um. So yeah.
Let me we're gonna kick it up a notch. Damn, we passed an hour already. Damn.
Already.
Yeah, this is let me, because I seen a couple of questions and then Let me get to this. Let me read this, Blue, because Blue is the cube god. He's the 44 god. So I gotta ask him this. Um, should I read this whole thing? All right, let me read this whole thing. Give me about 3 minutes, family. uh this is his work. Somebody summing up his work. By the word earths, our father means that half of each wave field which has concentrated light waves into solid bodies by pulling centripetally inward from within and by heavens. He means the other half on the other side of the equator, which has decentrated into space surrounding the centered solid. So in the beginning, I show you that circle with the two waves on each side. I guess that represents the father mother. Now, what I want to read is this part. I'm trying to get to the part. Well, let me just continue because it ain't that long. Our father mother has divided his entire universe into wave fields. Within wave fields, a wave field for each action in its own measure, and the electric power extended to each wave field is equally divided between the center and solid and the space which surrounds it. Each wave field is a complete storage battery like the one in your car. The only difference being that the negative cells of nature's storage batteries are many thousand times larger than the positive cells. Sons of heaven are insulated from each other. Each visible sphere is one half of the body. Its surrounding cubic wave field of space is the other half. Now, illusion in the making. Each wave field is surrounded, is surrounded and bounded by 6 mirrors, which form a cube of 6 planes of zero curvature beyond which any action taking place in any wave field cannot go. Within these cube wave fields is an entire microcosmic or macrocosmic curved universe or curved pressure gradients, which act as lenses to project and retract light wave actions and reactions which take place within each wave field. These countless cubes of space are the projection machines which extend the cosmic cinema upon the imagined screen of space. So he's saying that it's the cube that projects this shit. The cubes of space, these cubes. I don't know why. You be hearing about the cubes of Saturn. Blue talk about the 44. They talk about the cube on the sun. And he's saying that these cubes are the projection machines that are extending the cosmic cinema on the screen of space. And I could go on. I'm gonna just end it there, Blue, because I was talking to you about the whole cube thing earlier, Blue, and I don't know if I read the right part, but did you get what I was talking about? What he's talking about? He keeps talking about cubes and the importance of cubes when it comes to the sphere, when it comes to creation, and when it comes to the illusion. So talk to me about the connection, Blue, from your study and being the 44 God between a cube and the illusion of matter.
Yeah, again, as I said, a cube represents a carbon structure, right? The only way that we are experiencing life in this dimension as carbon-based beings is because of that cube. If you think of reality as a pixelated reality, but if you think of those pixels as 3D pixels rather than 2D, then that's where he's expressing. You know what I mean? How are we experiencing this, right? Which is this particular, just like, I'm physically somewhere, but I'm on TV, beaming through a camera, being seen by other people from this refracting light from places around the world. How is this happening, right? It's downstepping, right? It's downstepping my physical appearance or my refraction into different multiples, right? Or fractals, if you will. So the cube, in essence, if you can, like, I really wish I had one of his images where he breaks the cube into all of his parts. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll explain to you mathematically how these things are even possible and why the cube is the best shape, right, for this particular simulation that we are engaged in. And yeah, he, this individual, his mind is just masterful in how he sort of play, because he spoke about the octaves, right? So we got to speak about this because everything that we are speaking about is sound and vibration, right? And the sound is responsible, or the vibration and the sound creates a geometry. You feel me? And then we're experiencing that particular, we're participating in that geometry. You know, these platonic solids have solidified, or so we think, into this particular form that we are looking at and engaging in, and we're convinced that this is our reality, right? But if you take a cube
So check,
and
you
you
see the
break
screen,
it, yeah,
Blue?
uh-huh. Yes, I
Robert E.
do.
Grant shared this on his Facebook, and this is from Walter Russell's work.
Yes, yes. Shout out to Robert E. Grant. He's a legend, right? Um, so let's take the cube in the upper left-hand corner and it's split into four pieces, right? And you know, the same as the one underneath it, but let's look at the one in the upper right hand or upper left right hand corner, right? When you put the cross in the middle of it, right? Once you put the plane of time and space in the cube, because that's how we exist. We are in the fourth dimensional reality, dealing with time and space, where both intersect, right? Those are two planes that overlap and intersect. When you look at a box or you look at a cube, not that cube right there has just split itself into four different boxes, right? So let's think about a circle. When you put a cross down the center of a circle, you're going to get four slices, right? The circle still equals 360 degrees. So each slice is going to equal 90 degrees in that circle, right? But when you look at the box, right? When you look at this box here, each one of those boxes are 360 degrees because they all have four 90-degree angles on each one of those boxes. Right. So 4 times 90 is 360. So when you add that box up or you add that cube up, you're going to get 1,440. Okay. So the cube is an expression of the 44 principle by way of 144. Remember, in gematria, 44 and April 4th both equal 144. 144 equals light. 144 equals, everything. Well, 44 equals light, not 144. My apologies. Time and space both equal 44 as well, right? So that box, rather than, again, I explained, a circle only equals 360 degrees. That's the energy that you're able to contain in a circle, even though they said everything's come out of it. Nonetheless, when you look at that cube or that box, right, 1,440 degrees is what you're getting out of that, because that box is going to break up into 4 different cubes. And then the way he even expressed it, it even breaks up into 8 different squares at some point. So it's an exponential amount of room that you can utilize in terms of space in a cube as opposed to a circle. And the octaves, right? So let's go to the octaves. He speaks about there being a 0 point and then it being 4 plus on this side and 4 negative on that side. And that is creation within itself. So he's going back to the comedic aspect of the Ogdad, that the number 8 created everything, right? And shout out to y'all, you know, y'all are 8s. You feel me?
8s.
Right? And yeah, shout out to Lord Strahan. He did an amazing episode.
Yeah, he did.
So he was breaking the 8 down for you.
Yeah.
Right? So you got 4 negatives and you got 4 positive. Then you got the 0 in the center, right? So it's really a 9 octave. But again, that's like the expression of what we speak about with 144, right? You got 44, and then when you put the 1 on it, right? 44 is 8, but then you put the 1 on it and it's 9. And that's the crux of everything in reality, because 144 represents the 12 by 12 matrix. The 12 by 12 matrix is the cube, it's the lattice, it's everything in physical reality. Everything in reality is the 12 by 12 matrix. Time within itself is the 12 by 12 matrix, because time is 1,440 minutes. Just like I showed you, if you pull the square up, if you pull the cube up, the cube is 1,440. If you go to square inches, right? How many square inches is in a square foot? 144. Right? So everything is built in the physical reality. When we're looking at these pixels, I should get a bomb for the goddamn bomb at. When you're looking at physical reality in these pixels, they all represent a square foot,
Yeah.
right? If you're talking about building out reality, and each one of those square foot is 44 inches because they're the 12 by 12 matrix. Now, I didn't make this up. This is Googleable, right? How many inches in a square foot? So that's what he meant, right? That's why we are able to show you that they've squared off reality. Everything is about. We've done that in the lecture before where we showed you every single thing that you interact with in this particular matrix is in the form of a box or a square, right? Or a rectangle or a square, should I say, still equal those particular degrees, though. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the best way to explain it would be, utilizing a tesseract. You know what I'm saying? Tetrahedral cube and octahedral cube system of common architectures and crystals. Exactly, right? So once again, I'm speaking about what is the underlying principle of all crystalline structures, the 12 by 12 matrix, right? The 12 by 12 matrix, 144, the number that is synonymous with light and speed, right? So,
Oh, let me
okay,
play.
real quick,
Damn.
yeah.
Now
So,
again.
uh,
Yeah.
44, when you count, when you utilize the numbers, when you take the binary out, because 44 is a trinary number. So let me just explain this because Sevon dropped this on the program the other night. You take 0 and 1 out, which are binary, right? From 2 to 9, if you add up the numbers 2 plus 3, 3 plus 4, 2 from 2 to 9 equals 44, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you take out 0 and 1, which is binary, you know what I'm saying? And they stand by themselves. 44 is a trinary number because it brings everything in that's missing out of 0 and 1, right? And again, when you put that 1 back on it to that 44, you get your 144. So 144 is all numbers in existence, you know what I'm saying? Just in that one little number, which is
Mm.
arranged in a 12 matrix, which you break down to 33. You know what I'm saying? And that's also a mystery of the 33, how you could find 369 right there. Yeah.
Mm. Wow, powerful. Oh man, let's get to a few questions before we get out of here, family. Give me some questions in the chat, family. Give me some questions in the chat. This and like I said, this was the tip of the iceberg. Like
It was
he
scratching
has
the surface.
he has a book called The Universal The
One.
Secrets of Light, and there's another one, The Divine
Universal
Iliad.
one.
You seen The Divine Iliad? Did you read any of that one, Blue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there's a couple of
Book
books
of
on
the
this.
Iliad, yeah. Yeah, the book of the Iliad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So give us a couple of questions, family. But yeah, like I said, family, this is just we can literally be dissecting this book all night long and get super deep. But I just want to share this with y'all because it's quite interesting. And I think this is pretty much sums up what we've been learning for quite some years. Somebody wants to know, Blue, who invented numbers?
Um, you know, numbers would have to be again a an expression of cosmic knowing, of gnosis, of knowledge, which is static and it comes from creator. It is within the memory bank of planetary or cosmic memory, and it's accessible because numbers are not just relegated to this planet, right? Anywhere that you go in the cosmos, numbers are going to be a universal language, and it's going to be a system that we use to measure and to do a bunch of other things. You know what I'm saying? It's a language of how we speak. Even when if we encounter intelligence in other parts of the universe, they're going to speak through mathematics. They're going to speak through numbers. We're going to identify them by telling you how many fingers they got and shit like that. So yeah.
Mm, mm. Let's get to another. They want to know what angel is in a cube or angel.
Metatron.
Metatron.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Metatron.
another Metatron? What's another name for Metatron?
Enoch. Enoch.
Enoch. That's the
Yeah.
same
So
thing as Tahuti, right? Isn't
um,
Metatron Enoch to Enoch?
there is expressions and iterations that identify it with Toph energy or Tahuti energy, especially when you get into the emerald tablets and they speak about the pyramid city and the cube city, and you know, there's an author named Melchizedek with the Flower of Life book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets into cube science, heavy cube consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
super duper metaphysical. You know what I'm saying? Cube information, but yeah, Metatron, right, is identified as being the quote unquote angel of the cube, and the Metatron cube contains all five platonic solids in one.
Mm.
But Enoch, going back to the book of Enoch, you know what I mean, and tying into some more expansive conversations that the brothers have been having on this conversation about Anunnaki
Mm-hmm.
information. Yeah, Enoch goes hard into the cube because Christianity is also, you know, the mystical aspects of it is built around a cube. You know, Islam is built around a cube by way of the Kaaba, but New Jerusalem is a golden cube, right? The world that everyone's waiting for, because they always talk about Armageddon and Rapture. What comes after that? That's what everyone's waiting on. That's supposed to be the golden cube. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the golden cube is a crystal as well. So yeah, man, it's everything is the cube. You
Blue,
know,
they want to know, is light or the darkness more important, Blue?
they're synonymous. You know, one thing that Walter Russell also expresses, there's a basic human need to separate things and to make contrasts and dichotomies,
Mm-hmm.
but the higher mind is a monad mind. It's oneness. Everything is one. So light is a spectrum of darkness. Darkness is an expression of light, a spectrum of light.
Mm-hmm. They want to know what came first, numbers or symbols, and why are triangles so important?
Mm. Mm. What came first, numbers or symbols? That's like,
King Simon said numbers are symbols in the chat.
yeah, that was what I said. That's like asking,
You
you
said
know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because the expression of new number starts with symbolism. The dot comes first, and then two dots forms a line.
Mm,
So at the same time, they're created, right? Because now the line is a shape. Now the line is a thing. The line is a symbol. And then three is a triangle, right? So then that expresses a multiplicity factor, because automatically when you have three, you have nine. You know what I'm saying? And it goes on forever. So these symbols are, yeah, these symbols and these numbers are both expressive of one another. They both coincide with one another, and you know they hold importance because they're both expressions of what one another represent, right? The triangle is so important because of what it represents in terms of its numerical value as a three. The one and the two come together and then they give birth to something, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the three comes in. That's the pyramid. So the pyramid stands for fire, fire within, fire inside. So now it's animated because it's let's take a laws alphabet or laws mathematics and say three is understanding. Well, three is the child. You know what I'm saying? So that's not that fire in the center, in the middle, represents that eternal flame. It represents your seed. It represents that thing that's going to carry you forward. So that's one way to look at it.
all right, let's this is interesting. This is not really a question, but it's a comment. Black squares, the cube is throughout the world where portals are. You think there's a connection between cubes and portals, Blue? That's where the portals are?
Absolutely. Again, you know, the cube. Once you understand cubes, you understand vortex energy, right? Because he's speaking about this whole toroid field, things coming in and coming out. You know what I'm saying? And these are vortex are just points where energies overlapping. You feel me? On the grid, and the grid is still controlled by this 12 by 12 lattice that is you know the consciousness that we are all participating in. Um, so yeah, the black cube is definitely where the portals are at. You know what I'm saying? And some people will tell you you can walk through one black cube through the next. They could tell you you could walk through portals here and go straight to Saturn dealing with that black cube,
Mm.
right? People would tell you that the circumnavigation around the Kaaba during Hajj is transporting people to another place as well. They'll tell you that. They'll be like, yeah, that shit was transcendental. I was in, I went to another dimension.
Mm.
It was unreal, you know? And that's a meteorite. That's a magnetized piece of black crystal. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I mean, a black cube. It's magnetized. Don't know what it's transmitting and what it's what it's pulling in and what it's sending out or where it's sending it to.
Right, right, right.
Because what he spoke about as well is he spoke about the continuations of the waves, right, and the fact that they replicate and duplicate themselves. So if you could create a wave pocket somewhere, it's going to appear in other places simultaneously, not through time. It automatically does it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is some powerful stuff, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you would so challenge yourself to believe a smidget of this and dare attempt it, oh man,
Mm.
might get free.
We're gonna do two more questions and then we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
How does the concept of God or the creator benefit the elite, Blue?
There's a dual aspect to it, right? It would be the blind and the light. So the blind is, you know, they can create a concept, right? Or align themselves with a created concept of what God is and get all the people over here doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then they can turn around and also access it and deal with the actualization of it. Case in point, and we speak about these guys often. Let's take the Masons, and let's say that they have something called the greater lights and the lesser lights. So let's take the Light of Four, for instance. They'll give you access to the lesser lights, and you out there praising fireworks,
Mm.
or the rockets direct glare and bombs bursting in the air. And you caught up in that, and you waving flags, and you're emotional. Your senses are going. You know what I'm saying? You being all the, you know what I'm saying? Like you caught up in the fanfare of it. And then while you doing that, they over there, right, at certain monuments having cosmic alignment with, cosmic bodies that are emitting light frequencies because light is information. They're getting the downloads. They're making themselves present and known. They're making necessary offerings and things of that nature. You feel me? So there's ways that they can gather, access, and then there's ways that they can keep you off your square because they're feeding you bufu, they're feeding you garbage, right? Whereas they may be reading these books and they may be part of these societies and they may be holding truth to this information or keeping it from you because they don't want you to access it. But this what they've been on. They got a head start for 100 plus years, standing on this information, preparing for the future.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But then they give you, the regular schmegular surface, material coming with religion, and you caught up in the emotionalism of defending something that you don't know.
Indeed. Let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to a good one. It's just questions he already touched on some of these. Well, this ain't the last. What's up with 10-4? Is this another end of the world day? Somebody said should turn in their phone off. Can you break down? Is the world gonna end, Blue, on 10-4, October 4th? I haven't
Yeah,
been paying attention this time.
yeah. There's a rash of a warning, emergency warning going out, and it went quite viral. And I understand what's being said, and I'll attempt to say it as best I can without, triggering anything here. And do understand, Fanny, this is another expression of them attempting to dim light or to contain it, right? Because the truth is light. The truth, information free flowing. We should be able to speak our minds. You know what I'm saying? But now we gotta cut corners and curves. We gotta bend our light. You know what I'm saying? So they're saying that there possibly will be in a pulse emittance from 5G networks. And with that pulse that comes at a set frequency, right? It activates aspects of the Jabbington that are dormant in
Whoa, whoa,
people.
whoa, 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 Blue. Yeah. Don't. You see what happened with you and Red Channel? No, 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 no. We ain't going there.
That word don't work.
No, no, no.
We gotta
That's
find a new word.
that's a giveaway now.
Are they going to that?
They don't caught on to that. Phil said that one time. And it
Yeah.
was a wrap for 7 days after.
So yeah, I will say this again. There's never gonna be an end of the world. You feel me? Again, there never was a world to end. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
shit.
we're gonna cut that out, right? There never was
Oh,
a world to end. There never will be an end. You feel me? You know, we're gonna continue. You know what I mean? Even if something cataclysmic happens, something's gonna come up right after that. And you'll be back in a different form. You know what I'm saying? You could come back as a beluga whale or something. I don't, you know what I mean? But yeah, don't buy into that. You feel
mhm,
me? We're not entertaining no fear. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to be safe and play it safe in regards to how you feel about it or what's going on with other people in your network, turn your phone off. You know what I'm saying? We need a digital detox. So any excuse to get away from these phones, I'm all the way with that. We should have did it sooner and earlier. Go out in nature, get into the real world, get away from the towers. The only place that you may be safe from that emittance is in nature where them towers don't exist. So that's telling you a lot.
mhm.
But I did want to make this observation before we got off. And this is for our ancestors, because they create these terms and these motifs. And oftentimes, because we speak a different language and because we are in a different place in society or what have you, we often forget what was left. And other people tell us it's not important, but then pick it up when we turn our back and utilize it. So we just saw a alleged NASA um, NASA sent a probe up allegedly that interacted with a asteroid, and this asteroid was called the Bennu asteroid. And the probe that they sent up was called Osiris Rex. Now, let's break this down. We know Osiris is a saw, Rex means king, right? A saw is the king of the West, right? He is the westerner of the West. He is the king of the underworld. You know what I'm saying? He is rebirth and resurrection itself. He is what we're speaking about. He is black light. Okay. He is the perfect black, right? Banu represents the phoenix bird, but Banu is also a bird that represents Osiris or Asar. You know what I'm saying? And Benu, of course, it represents resurrection. You know what I mean? Again, this is the prototype that comes before the phoenix. This is where they get the phoenix from. Um, and then they landed in Utah, of all places, right? So Utah in its ancient time would have been, a capital of the kingdom. The kingdom existed of Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona, right? And Utah was a main seat. Utah is what you would consider. Utah is at what we see now of Utah was once the bottom of an ocean. That's why Utah is mineral rich,
Mm.
right? The majority of the minerals come out of Utah. I get some of my gold out of Utah, right? Utah, like just like Vegas. Vegas is the bottom of an ocean. That desert that's in Vegas, that's the bottom of an ocean, right? These places are magnetically charged, right? To be places that are mineral rich because all of the riches or the sediments or the minerals all settle to the bottom of the ocean. This why in African traditional systems they always relegate the gods to live at the bottom of the ocean. Olukun lives at the bottom of the ocean because that's where the most riches are at. You feel me? So they land, they drop the probe, which has extracted mineral dust from this asteroid, and they dropped it in Utah on September 24th, which would have been when Virgo now goes into Libra. You know what I'm saying? Virgo is the woman. You feel me? She's all set, giving birth to Heru, okay? Which is what this whole thing is about because now they're dealing with comets and asteroids. And these things are symbols of what these cosmic bodies supposed to embody, right? And this coincides with a cosmic alignment that took place from September 12th, I think it was, to September 23rd. And that was the appearance of the sign of Virgo was in the cosmos, and the sign of Virgo had the 12 stars on her crown, and they had the moon on her feet, like the scripture Revelation 12:11 says. So this particular appearance of Virgo in the sky coincided with a lot of biblical scripture. And then what also happened is that there was a asteroid in the belly of Virgo. It was called the Child. So they was like, yo, this is a symbolism of a rebirthing, you know, or the immaculate birth scene is taking place, because they said the earth was supposed to end on the world was supposed to end on September 23rd as well, and that ain't happened, right? Yeah, you see that? You see that lattice?
That's crazy. Now imagine if the universe is a cube,
Yeah,
and within that cube is all these cubes, an infinite number of cubes. This is
yeah.
Walter Williams. This is his model.
Walter Russell, right?
Yeah, Walter. Yeah.
Shout out to Walter Williams. But yeah, these are that's one of his structures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was, you know, a very interesting individual. We definitely recommend that you go and look into all of his works. He did plenty of things. He was a painter. He was a poet.
Blue,
He's a chemist.
Look at this shit, Blue. This shit is crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine the universe is that cube, and you enter the. Imagine you enter the matrix, and this is it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It would look something like that,
Oh,
right? And the mental lights, you know, all of that light represents intelligence and is vast. It's throughout the cosmos. But look at the stillness of it, you know, and you know the illusion of motion by way of pulsing, right? But everything is peaceful. Everything is still, like the universe is really peace. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that exists is love. Like none of that other stuff is real. It's very temporary, and it's not external. You know, when he's speaking about the continuance of life, like, you know, we here for a split second, y'all, and then we on to the next one, right? Our consciousness is eternal. It lives forever. You're already where you need to be. You know what I mean? In this community, shout out to the conscious community once again. You know what I'm saying? For being in an amazing alignment. You know what I mean? Consciousness is immortality, and I think that's what, you know, that's what attracted us. Even when we came for metaphysics, we came by way of a code, when we came by way of everything, it was really motivated by people wanting to know themselves and want to know what happens after this. Right? Because Christianity didn't do it for us in regards to giving us the answers that made us feel anchored. Like, okay, that's what, okay. I'm riding it out to the wheels fall off of that. All right. Yeah, we never got that. So we looked and we looked and we found, and look what we found. You know, we bumped up on something that again is home. It's right where we needed to be. You know what I mean? So yeah, consciousness is immortal. It's the thing that exists forever. It's the thing that has existed forever.
He said consciousness is static.
It's static, right? It's your ability to access the reservoir of information for time immemorial. how much of it can you handle? That's the only thing that the universe needs to validate and know about you. How much of this can you handle? Because it has enough to pour into you. You know what I'm saying? That you will be you know, you will be thoroughly appreciative.
Hey, Blue, with that being said, man, let the people know anything you got coming up, Cash App, anything you want to tell the people, your IG, anything, brother.
Yeah, all of that good stuff is the same. It's at Blue Pillar 44, $ Blue Pillar 44. You can follow me on Twitter, Threads, TikTok, all of that stuff. Everything starts with a T. Oh, that's Twitter, Threads, TikTok. Yeah, Instagram. Yeah. Well, we got some stuff that's cooking. Nothing that I might necessarily want to speak on right now. Um, but yeah, I really want to leave it on that note. I just want to make the emphasis on people doing a deep dive into this book so we can actually put together a virtual book club and we can really dialogue. We can really go into the different elements and the layers and have a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Especially with the cube consciousness. And yeah, it's nonstop. It's up from here. So
Indeed. All right. Appreciate you for coming on. Appreciate the family for tuning in. This is Brother Rich Black Magic with KTL. We signing out, family. See you next time. Peace.
peace.